Live from Hollywood, good morning. This is the West Coast Wise Guys podcast. I'm your co-host, Teflon Tommy Fugazi, the golf course hustler, the pimp from Beverly Hills. I'm here with my co-host.
Jay Sherm in the house.
That's
the
right.
Greasy meatball from Times Square.
The one and only. Yeah, so you noticed I'm feeling a little bit spicy today. Feeling a little bit hot. Maybe some might even say a little bit pissed off.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I just want to jump right into it. Hey, Gillette. I'm boycotting all your shit. And I know Procter & Gamble's the parent company too. I'm boycotting all your shit too. If I have to make my own toothpaste, if I have to brush my teeth with bricks like George Washington, if I have to get wooden teeth like George Washington, I'll do it because this ad is stupid. It is just god awful. It's propagating the stupid globalist agenda that we know you're trying to push, and we're all sick of it. And we hope you get more and more backlash, you bastards. What do you think, Jordan?
And more back hair.
Yeah, more back hair.
I think, like, the second I saw it, I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, obvious.
And, yeah, I'm just so used to seeing these things that it doesn't really even register for me at this point, where I'm just like, okay.
And that's
sure.
a damn shame, isn't it? That this is becoming so commonplace that we don't even think twice about it. It's almost as if we're being conditioned to believe these things and just have them as second nature. So they shift the Overton window. So that's now an acceptable public discourse that all men are toxic.
I want Venus to come out with one that just talks about all the shitty thing bitches do.
That will never happen. I promise you that.
For walking out on bar tabs, for expecting all kinds of things, for just wouldn't it be hilarious though? Toxic femininity, and it's Venus, and it's like, women, please just shave your pussies.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Here's the other side of the coin. If it was a toxic femininity, like they're saying toxic masculinity, it'd be just normal feminine things that women do. Like, oh, it's toxic when you bat your eyelashes at a guy you like, or it's toxic when you want to, I don't know, what do women do? Want to buy that purse or pick that flower. I don't know what you women do.
It's all toxic. That's all I know.
Yeah. It's all toxic thing. The way that they're like, they are the same people that will totally rail against you and demonize you for painting with a broad brush in any kind of context of all these people are this or that, which nobody says but them. But then they will turn around and they'll paint all men, a specific group of men, as fundamentally flawed, right? And through a razor ad, like, Gillette, get real. I'm sick of this shit. Seriously. You need to boycott these people. They need to feel backlash. And here's the thing. The public, they don't like it. An overwhelming number of people have downvoted this into oblivion on YouTube. All the comments on YouTube are negative, which I'll bring some up so we can read them on air and see what the general public thinks about this. But here's the thing, though. Gillette and YouTube are in bed with one another because they're trying to push the agenda. This is not about money. This is not about profits. This is not about future business and market share. This is about pushing the globalist agenda. They want men to be feminized. That's what they want. Masculine men are dangerous for their agenda.
But don't you think if we stop having so much testosterone that we won't need razors anymore?
Well, that's what they want. They want men to be low T. That's why they're like, you have a young boy who's in a classroom. Like, first of all, the standard of elementary education and schooling is geared towards girls. Girls will sit nice and quiet and they will absorb whatever you're telling them because they want to be they want to please the teacher and they want to get that gratification on the feedback. Whereas young boys don't give a flying fuck. They're going to run around. They're going to pretend their hands are guns and cowboys and Indians and war and shit and shoot each other. And that's healthy masculinity. That's what built Western civilization. Okay? So I don't want to hear this shit. But then they'll have you just drown your kids in Ritalin and all that, and Adderall and shit like that. I mean, when has that been, and who's prescribing that to children, right? At a young age, I'd never put my kids on Ritalin or Adderall. But so many people do that just because these teachers are like, he's making my job hard. Little Johnny's running around having a good time. He's making my job hard. Well, you know what, sister? Maybe it's the wrong job for you, huh?
Yeah, well, dude, the fucking education system's just a complete pile of dog shit at this point.
Yeah, it's a joke. All right, so here's some comments. All right, first one, not quote unquote, not every man is bad, just most. Gillette. Yeah. Here's another one, and we've discussed this. If you don't teach a boy to stand up for himself, he will let everyone walk over him. So true. So true.
You're getting better at that.
Thanks. I've been practicing. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and exactly that is the problem. And like, just to be fucking devil's advocate, which you're gonna hate me for doing this right now, but there are things that people should not do in a healthy fucking civilization.
Why would I rail against that?
Because I'm pushing the globalist agenda.
No, you're not.
know.
They're like, make
Okay.
your point. I don't want.
Yeah. Okay. So there are shit that dudes and disgusting pig men do
Yeah, sure.
that should not be a part of our society.
Fact.
The issue is that's all you have to say, and then point out the fucking absolute worst cases of that you see. Make these people really deal with it in a legal way because they're actually probably breaking laws and fucking assaulting people. And we're talking the worst of the worst, right? We already do that, and there's already enough in place to make people not want to behave that way. Like everything in my life was me navigating how to survive brutal kids, right? How to navigate fuckery, toxic masculinity, as it were, but also how to not really contribute to that shit if I don't have to, because that's just who I am. That's how I was raised, And it's like, it seems like it shouldn't be that difficult to eliminate some of these issues, that are like the biggest issues of our time. Like, what the fuck?
Well, they're making them seem like they're the biggest issues of our time, but they're really not.
They're not at all.
Okay. Now, here's one of my favorite quotes, and it certainly applies to this and to people in general. So listen up. This is a good one. Fundamental decencies were not parceled out evenly at birth. Okay. Fundamental decencies were not parceled out evenly at birth. Burn that into your brain, tattoo that shit backwards on your forehead. So every time you look into the mirror, you see that and you understand that. Ingrain that in your thoughts and you will not be disappointed by people.
Yep.
Okay. I try to be fundamentally decent. I know like my personality on this radio show, and I've gotten some interesting feedback from girls that I've dated, is like, sure, it can come off a little bit douchey. It can come off a little bit blasé and everything like that. But this is radio. Okay. So we're trying to like make it interesting and like spicy takes.
Yeah, you gotta have some personality.
Yeah, you got to have some spunk, and and that's just the person I am. I'm a masculine guy. You know what? And you know what that Gillette ad made me want to do? It makes me want to wake up at 5 a.m, turn on Rammstein, full volume, my fucking headphones, go and do some squats in the gym, and be a masculine man. Cause fuck you. That's why. All right,
Punch
Gillette?
people. Yeah.
And it's gonna have that, and that is the silver lining of that ad, man. Is that's going to have the effect on a lot of people like that. Because I'm seeing on the internet, guys like, you know what? Now I am going to be really masculine because I hate these people that are pushing it. And me doing that is the little smidgen of power I have in my hands to piss these people off.
It's the exact same thing with when you start censoring things. And it's the worst thing you can do. When you start trying to over push an agenda, when you start censoring certain people's ideas and beliefs and things like that, all you're doing is making the rift bigger.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to censor men.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in the ad, they had the kids fighting on the ground. These kids, it's like they're at a barbecue and the dads are there grilling.
First off, what dad is just going to watch one kid get fucking destroyed by 5 kids?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was about
Never
to say.
in a million years.
It's like that's not realistic. And if that were to happen, that dad is a shitty parent, and that kid needs to be reprimanded for beating the shit out of another kid.
Yeah.
Because that's asocial behavior.
Dude,
okay?
You're
You're going to create a little Charles Manson if you let that shit keep going.
we're playing football with kids in the neighborhood and running around, and fights happen, but it's like, it was never that bad. Granted, I didn't grow up in the fucking hood, you know what I mean? But even still, that's a different issue. That's its own issue. But I don't understand, like, these kids with these beatdowns. I've never seen kids do a full-on beatdown. Have you?
Not in my community.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying, is like a lot of the worst behaviors that I've seen from men in my life, and I'm going to say boys more than men, are on the side of drunk advances towards chicks who don't want it.
Sure. And that's what I'm going to say. Like, we believe in intellectual honesty. We say this every program, but it needs to be reiterated for two reasons. One, we need to keep it fresh in people's minds. Two, you never know when it's somebody's first show. So guys do all kinds of messed up, toxic shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone does. And I understand like the macho behavior can be really toxic and annoying. Like some guy acting like a freaking Neanderthal, drunk off tequila in a bar, who's like 6'4", 300 pounds. That's a problem.
It's danger. Yeah.
When Brock Lesnar decides to get uppity and upset because you looked at his girl the wrong way, you know, like that's a problem. But like this whole like toxic masculinity thing is really in reality on the far fringes, on the periphery, that it's not even worth addressing. It really isn't, because it's not a problem. They want to make it an issue because they want young boys to see this and be soft, right? Men should not care deeply about social approval. You shouldn't, okay? Because you should know as a man in your heart of hearts what you're doing is right or what you're doing is not right. And that's why a culture of honor is really important, right? Because you know whether you did something the right way or you did something that was subversive or backhanded that you shouldn't have done, right? Or something that was wimpy. But they want you to be a wimp because you're easily controllable.
Yep.
You know who the global corporate plex hates more than anybody is guys like me, because I'm smart. I'm definitely opinionated, as you can see on this show, and I'm a masculine guy through and through. Ain't nothing feminine about me, baby. Man to the core. And you know what? They're going to say, oh, that's toxic. It's a toxic. What have I done that's toxic? When have I ever mistreated a woman?
I don't know.
That
that didn't deserve it. Yeah.
No. Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to put people in their place.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let anybody walk all over me. I don't give a fuck what the social norms are.
Yep.
You know? Like if some girl's trying to, you know, like in whatever way, you know, diminish me, right? And same with the guy. Like I'll just walk away. And that's all I've ever done. I've never verbally insulted somebody because I don't care enough, A. And B, you're not worthy of the spectacular insult I would throw your way.
There is just a level of, I don't know if you want to call it apathy or nihilism or whatever, that if you just have like a small percentage of that in your personality, it can only be good for you. Because you end up avoiding so much bullshit. And
oh, that's a great point.
And that's something that's how I've dealt with all kinds of things. And it's not the most masculine thing to do, but it's also not being obsessed with petty bullshit that doesn't matter and focusing on what I really want to focus on in my life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's smart. It's a snap judgment cost benefit analysis. That's what it is. And so back to what I'm saying to justify the statement. Like if somebody mistreats me, I'll just walk away. I don't care. I might give them a piece of my mind in a very articulated fashion that will express exactly how I feel, so they know. So they can't pull that shit on me, and B, you shouldn't do that to the next guy either.
Yeah.
People do fucked up stuff. So
people do,
and
that's what that was my first point too. Is like it's not just dudes who do fucked up stuff, you know, and that's what's so crazy. It's just how.
No, not at all. And then here's the other side of the coin. There's the same people that propagate this toxic masculinity, and it's like everything that women do, no matter what. Abortions they're great. They're phenomenal. And I was just talking with somebody today, and he's seeing that they're pushing abortion propaganda on kids in elementary school. They don't even know where babies come from.
Yeah,
they're pushing, kill your kids in the third trimester because you had a drunken night out and you know, you didn't get around to it in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, man. This society, seriously, it needs to get back to some serious decencies and to thinking straight, okay? Now, I'm not going railing against the whole abortion issue because that's complicated.
No,
and I really don't feel like talking about it on the show right now, you know, because it's nuanced.
Yeah,
right?
and it is something that has made our culture definitely... we've improved, at least in some ways, probably because of it. Like, there's no way that it's a only bad thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, for people that support abortion, why don't you go look up Margaret Sanger and see what her beliefs were and why she wanted to propagate that? Because that might throw a little bit of a dichotomy, a little bit of a cognitive dissonance in your worldview when you find out what it is. Not going to say it, look it up for yourself. But yeah, this Gillette ad, as you can tell, is very upsetting because it's not true. That's the thing, is it's not true, and they're making it seem like it's true. And here, let me read this comment. It's a little bit loquacious, but I'm going to read it anyway because Shane Sims' YouTube comment really hits the nail on the head. All right, and he says, quote, "The people in this video missed the point. The problem is the ad doesn't distinguish between toxic masculinity and plain masculinity. Good point. It implies that both are the same, which they are clearly not. Boys roughhousing and men being inclined to talk to an attractive, stunning woman is in no way toxic. Thank you. It's biologically normal. On the other hand, bad behavior, bullying, explaining what the person really meant, genuine harassment and disrespect is universally bad, which no typical man or woman accepts such behavior as appropriate. The gist of this ad is, quote, all men should do better, which is shamefully offensive to the vast majority of men who do not behave like this. The normal male doesn't need life lessons from some company who is simply immorally trying to leverage current social topics to extract more money from consumers.
Yeah.
Shane Sims, you hit the nail on the head, buddy. Feel free to call on the show at any time.
Yeah, that is perfect, and that's the perfect way to temper the actual problems that exist versus the non-issues that they're pushing because it's hot right now, and it's just it is a pathetic move, man, and it doesn't make me jump for joy. That's for sure, and it doesn't make me as angry because again, so much is going well for me in my life that it's so hard for me to literally get riled up about almost anything anymore. But
Right.
and then it might be too late by then, but
Yeah, and and for me, I find this social engineering fascinating because that's exactly what it is. Make no mistake. They are trying to engineer our society to meet their particular ends. I said it in the last show, and I'll say it again. We live in an economy, not a country anymore. But here's the thing. This ad would have never come out 3 years ago.
No.
5 years ago. No way. They would have never put it, man. But now it's out. And I watched a lot of, let's say, leftist or liberal takes on this, and they're lauding it as that needed to be said. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Needed to be said. If any guy goes and harasses a woman, you're going to get overwhelming 99.9 reoccurring people that are against that totally counter signal it and condemn it, right? Both of us included.
Dude, how many times you've been walking down the street and a guy's like getting way too aggressive with his own girlfriend or whatever, and somebody's like, "Hey, man, what the fuck's going on over here, huh? You guys okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you fucking stay out of it, man." And he's like, "No, like seriously, is everything gonna be all right?" Like almost every single time somebody steps up, and you know what? You know what protects people against the toxic masculinity? Non-toxic masculinity.
Yeah, white knighting. Well, here's a little personal example. So I was at a bar once, a couple months ago. Don't need to know where, but I was there. And this guy was out back in the parking lot. He was there. He was drinking all day, and his girl was drinking all day. They were drunk, and they went out back, and they had an exchange of words, and this guy hit her, and a couple people saw him get really aggressive with her. That guy was out of that bar so fucking fast that you wouldn't believe it.
Yep.
I mean, he was out the door, down the street, get the fuck out of here, or you're going to get strung up, son.
Yep.
And that's the way it happens in reality. But the global corporate capitalists that want your dollar and want you to think a certain way and be a girly man, okay? They don't want you to realize that, okay? Because they don't want you to live in reality. And that's the bigger part of this. They don't want you. They want to manifest a reality that you live in through the media that you consume, through the information that they give to you. All right. You need to be independent. Think critically. You know, I was wondering this the other day. A little tangent. So, do you remember when you were a kid and you take a test and that, you do this long test and like the clock's winding down. You're like, oh, thank God. One question left. And it's critical thinking. It's like, and then they'd ask some kind of question where you gotta give your hot take on something. It's gotta be like 2 or 3 paragraphs. Like, fuck. Right. I mean, I always slayed at that because, yeah, obviously.
You're critical and you think, yeah.
It's the greatest compliment I think I've ever received. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder if they even have that anymore on kids'
I'm
tests.
sure they do. I mean, again, it's hard for me to say because I went to a completely different school.
Montessori school.
So,
That's why you're so smart.
Do you want to know what my tests were?
What were they?
Well, first of all, there were none until
Oh my
6th
God.
grade. And then in 6th grade, they were all-day exams on a particular subject on every report that I wrote over the whole semester. And I would write 30 to 40 pages in a day answering questions the whole thing is critical thinking.
That's good education. I like
Yeah,
that.
it was insane. I mean, dude, literally, I'd get there at 8, I'd start my exam and I'd be done. Sometimes it would take past, like the teachers would stay as long as it took you, and some kids would fucking have to stay till 6, 7 p.m.
Sounds like a nightmare. Thank God I'm not in school anymore. That's another thing. I mean, schools are just indoctrination camps at this point. It's awful. Like I said, I mean, you're teaching young kids about abortion when they're in the first and second grade.
I don't think we were taught anything about social shit at all.
No,
I
because
was
that,
being
that was
taught-
a different time because that was around 2000, 2002.
I was being
right?
taught about
That was 15.
Archimedes, like fucking either philosophers and chemists and all kinds of interesting historical figures, Socrates and all kinds of people, right?
Yeah.
And then algebra, like math was huge, like when I'm super, super, super young. And then reading the best literature that you could possibly even wrap your head around the words, that were on the page. And that was my life. And there was no like, I don't know, but it helped that there was no no lecturing. There was nobody had the floor. It was literally like, okay, in a given day, you have to do this subject, this subject, this subject, this subject in any order you want, but you have to spend this amount of time on it. And you can go and in the classroom, there's all these materials and references and things for you to go and just look up what you want to do. And then if you have trouble understanding it, ask the teacher.
Yeah. Como se dice valuable knowledge?
I mean, I have no idea who I'd be right now.
That's the show title. But
What's the show title?
como se dice valuable knowledge?
Yeah, como se dice.
Yeah. Well, that's a great education. That's why the Montessori style of education is highly lauded, because it will create in those fundamental years when a child's mind is essentially a blank slate, right? So important. That's why developmental psychology is like,
Yep.
well over half of psychology. Like those years between when you're born and when you're like 13 years old, that greatly shapes your future.
Oh yeah, that's essentially who you are at your core.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
One other point on the Gillette thing that just came up for me.
I'm gonna go on that for forever. We need to trash that ad because that's what it is. It's trash, and you put that shit out, and you're gonna get a negative response.
But so that clip you showed me of like Rogan's reaction. I mean, the truth is, the most toxic people are not. First off, they might not even see that, right? Because maybe they're not on the like Facebook, like watching ads and shit. I don't know. Maybe they're out just causing crimes all day. That was the wrong part of that I wanted to emphasize. But what I'm saying is, even if they see it, it's not going to affect them at all, right? So assume the worst of the worst that if they were trying to actually do something of value to society, which they're not, but if they were, giving them the benefit of the doubt, the people that they're targeting are not going to even want to fucking shift their behaviors at all. So then the people who are not the problem, they're pussifying so much that the people who are the problem will actually be able to just have fucking full reign over everybody. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
So it's like you need to. They're actually going to be causing a lot more problems in instances of men, the truly toxic, disgusting pieces of shit.
Are the people making that ad? That's who the truly disgusting, toxic pieces of shit are. And you know what? They know it too.
They'll have
These
no one
people
to
aren't
rally against
naive,
them.
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they'll have nobody, but you know what? I will certainly rally against it. And people are. That's the thing. If this ad was right and was in tune with reality and toxic masculinity really was this overwhelming problem that people need to deal with, YouTube wouldn't be doctoring the likes and dislikes in the comments.
Yeah. And
look through the comments on that ad and people are like, wow, my comment got deleted. Wow, yesterday this had 1 million downvotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's only 200,000. So YouTube is in bed with whoever the fuck the parent company is
that's
in Gillette,
pathetic.
and they're doctoring this because they want you to think a certain way, right? And I know we're on YouTube right now, and YouTube, I think as a platform, is one of the greatest things to ever happen to society because the proliferation of information via YouTube is historically significant.
Yep.
For sure. It's like the Library of Alexandria on steroids in high pixels, right? But at the same time, it's like they are part of the globalist system that is trying to push this agenda, and everyone knows what it is. Okay, just Google it. And that's the reason why they're doctoring comments. That's the reason why they're deplatforming people that call them out on that. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if our video got flagged just for being against this Gillette ad.
Yeah,
just for
I almost
wrong thing.
I almost put hashtag Gillette in the description, but I didn't do it.
Fuck it, do it. Dude, I honestly, I don't even care anymore because you know what? Truth is gonna win. Y'all can keep pushing this stuff, and sure, some people, some NPCs that are just programmable walking robots will believe this shit, and that's sad because they're people too. But that's what they do. They prey on the weak. You know, and I don't even like to be, oh, I'm strong. I'm a pretty strong person. All right. If you want to change my viewpoint, which is malleable, I do believe in the Socratic principle of the educated mind can entertain a thought without accepting it. Right. So I will entertain your thought. I will engage in debate. But what's right is right. And like a weed growing through cracks in a sidewalk, the truth will always emerge. All right. So watch the fuck out because that's what people are really seeing with this ad. It's having the negative, like that's why I almost like it. I hate watching it because it's such contrived, stupid bullshit that's just not true. But I like it because it gets like, look at me, I'm fucking fired up right now. And there's so many guys that see that are normal masculine men that just want to go about their lives and make money, take care of their family, and live a fulfilling existence.
How many wives, sisters, moms, daughters, whoever are in, you know, like literally attached to a man who's got none of these fucking negative qualities that they're talking about. It's the majority.
And even here's another thing. They're thinking that society is pushing the true masculine thing as being this brutish, combative, aggressive person. Like, that's not what true masculinity is. True men don't need to be like that.
No, because you're so sure of yourself and you're grounded in your identity, and you know you have this air of finesse to you that just totally you're able to get what you either want or what's necessary out of situations and your circumstances.
See, you get it, man. You really do. And that's one of the reasons why I like you and I become friends because, you know, I'm a grown man now. So I become friends with people, not really over mutual interests and stuff like that, but over mutual philosophies and viewpoints and frames of reference in life. That's what creates a long-lasting, engaging friendship. And you're totally right. Like, not saying this and like, I don't want this to come off as sappy or patronizing, but like, dude, you're a man. Totally. Through and through.
And but it took me a long time because there are, you know, the kind of the typical, the stuff that they're trying to say is the toxic masculinity stuff that I don't necessarily exhibit myself so much.
Yeah.
But what I realized was there's so much about being a man and a fucking real man, and how much of it is fucking intellectual. You know what I mean? And how much of it is understanding yourself and fucking putting your foot down when you need to, and being someone who has values and someone who wants the people around them to be better, wants yourself to be better. You know, there's just so much, and that's what I think of when I think of a fucking man, you know?
Absolutely. And then on top of it, like guys like you and I that are real men in the traditional and pure sense, we make fun of guys that overcompensate, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a man, man. I drink my triple espresso and I have a hot dog in the morning.
I assume they're gay. First step.
Get in my lifted camel truck and you put a dip in
and
drink a beer.
Anybody who just immediately starts rallying against gay people, I'm like, you're probably super gay.
Sounds like somebody's projecting, right? I mean, that's kind of my thing too. Like that's a whole nother discussion that
of course
I do not want to get into. But yeah, I mean, the over hyper masculinity is very weird. But like, here's the thing about me and the other side of the coin. Like, I like women that are hyper feminine, and here is the other side of the coin. Because as much as they're pushing the toxic masculinity thing, the same people, the same nefarious forces,
they want masculine women.
They want masculine women. That's like, oh, women, you should go do CrossFit. Like, get jacked. Like, and you see all these pictures on Instagram of like girls with like these chiseled six packs and shoulders. Like, that is not attractive to a vast majority of men because you look like a guy. Okay, so
yeah, women are way more fucking jacked than they ever were, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, I know women that are saucing, that are taking like juice that you know, people I may or may not know have taken to get to professional levels of sports.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, that is just such a turnoff, but they're pushing that. Like these masculine, like be assertive. Like you don't need no man. Just go and lift weights and make rock music and Pussy Riot and all that stuff. And it's like, no. How about we find a nice middle ground?
Well, yeah,
right?
because there's a lot of elements about that I do find it super attractive.
Sure. I'm not saying I don't want women to be able to be independent because God knows in this day, you know what? I was talking to a friend of mine. She's a single mother, right? And like she has to be assertive. She has to go out and make money because now she's got a kid. She's got a life. Her life has much more meaning than just picking daffodils and reading, Sylvia Plath.
Well, exactly. I mean, women have had to go through a lot of just kind of, this is probably a shitty word and they might not like this, maturing in the last 20 years compared to what they had to do before.
You know what? They might not like it, but that's a perfect word. I can't think of a better word to articulate.
And you know what I mean? And
yeah.
And I think it's good. And I think, the problem is that at the end of the day, they still do want to be recognized as a feminine woman. And they want to be treated that way.
And that's why in polls, not to cut you off, but that's why in polls, they'll say that the most unattractive feature to women is when they out earn a man.
Mm-hmm.
They still want the man to be the breadwinner. I mean,
So
just
that's
saying,
like, and that's, dude. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
Go ahead.
And that's what's so crazy is, in order for polarity to still exist and for life to actually work as it's intended, if you bring up the level of masculinity in the women, the men are gonna have to rise even more. If you really want it to work, and you want women to be happy, I'm talking literally. They don't like they like beating down a dude and pussifying him for a very, very short window of time.
Right. Well, that's what's called a shit test.
Yeah.
They're seeing if you can rise above it because they're saying, are you strong enough to be my man?
Yep.
Right. That's a way to weed out the weak.
And that's
which is why I thrive, baby. Because I always come out on top.
That's why I actually do like more alpha type women because I have no problem holding my own in that situation.
Right. Because you're confident and sure of yourself.
Yeah. So, and I think the rise of that in women is an amazing test for dudes too. And dudes have kind of failed and they try to blame women for a lot of this. And it's like, I get it. You can do that all day. And it's not that your points are wrong. You know what I mean? But as a man, it's your fucking job to rise the fuck up. That's my personal opinion.
No, that's a fact. It's been that way since the dawn of time. Right? The men who rise up get the women.
So we all just got to be better. Everybody. And
everyone has to be better. But you know what? I mean, all this same principle in the stupid, disgusting Gillette commercial was the same with the famous interview of Michelle Obama on Oprah. And people always laud her like she's this infallible person. Like, do you remember what it was? She's like, men, you just need to be better. Just be better. Be better. Like, be butter? We need to be. She's doing this the stupid valley, like be better, and Oprah's like, yeah, be better.
Yeah,
and and of course her daytime all female audience is like, yeah, freaking out, because they're all like single, overweight women with the flabby arms and shit like that. So they love railing against the patriarchy.
Can I do a quick aside?
Do the bit, baby.
Okay, so and I wanted to also get a little sappy with you after this a little bit, but
nice. We get sentimental here on the West Coast, wise guys.
My late night wind down recently has been this show called Crashing. It's on HBO. It's about like the start of Pete Holmes's comedic career. He's like a super fucking soft, really raised religious who wanted to become a stand-up. I don't know why the fuck he would want to do that.
Yeah.
But so he's it's amazing, like just how naive this guy is, and seeing him deal with people of the world. Like because comedians are the best people of the world for just their takes on shit, right? And they all like him because he's so different, and they kind of take him in and they feel bad for him. But the point that you brought up about the daytime, one of his first paying gigs was as a warm up for Rachel Ray, and he's happens to be perfect for it because he's such oh yeah, but it was like it's literally that exact demographic of just all these like middle-aged women in there, and they're getting their recipes and they're like sitting there and they, girl power and whatever. And it's fucking hilarious. And then he ends up getting into every now and then he lets his emotions just completely run his life. And he got cheated on by his wife, and the wife of the guy that she was cheating with is in the audience and like staring him down, and he starts talking about like marriage and like what makes it last, what makes it work. And one guy's like, oral. There's one guy in the crowd and he yells, oral. And then
Not a bad answer.
everybody's like, yeah. And like a bunch of the women are like kind of laughing. And it's fun. So he rolls with it and he starts laying into this one woman, like, cause she was married for, I don't know, 52 years or something. What makes your marriage like love? He's like, come on, it's got to be oral. He's like, and then he's like going on about how many times, like once a month, and they're like, no, once a week, and they're like, okay, all right, so let's do the math. 52 years, and 52 weeks in a year, you're giving a blowjob a week. That's what is that? 2,700 blowjobs you've given, ma'am. And he's going on about it, and it turns out it's Rachel Ray's mom, so he gets fired immediately.
Really? Was that a true story?
I don't know, but it seems like a lot of it is true.
Oh my God. I'll tell you, man, like working in Hollywood and on TV shows, those warm-up people before the shows to get like the audience going are great.
That's not an easy gig, dude.
It's not an easy gig because first of all, people are all piling in at like 8 a.m. Everyone's tired.
And it's long.
And it's a long day. I worked on this show and dude, probably the best actor and the most entertaining person I've seen in Hollywood to date was a warm-up guy for this one talk show I worked on. This guy was stellar. He could be a dude, like not even like patronizing. This guy could be a fucking movie star. He was so animated, had just his own brand of humor, his own shtick.
And it's got to be clean, which is really difficult too.
Yeah, and it's got to be clean. I mean, the nature of this talk show was religious.
Yeah,
So it had to be like
Jesus.
super clean, like squeaky, cleaner than a bar of soap. And I remember whenever I'd see on LA castings that audience work would come for the show, be like, I don't really want to sit there all day. It's like, oh, I get to see that guy again. Like, absolutely,
That's
sign
amazing.
me up. This guy was fantastic. So,
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty funny though. So I'm just wondering who the warm up person was on Oprah back in the day.
I don't know who. It was probably Trevor Noah. But yeah, I mean, but back to this whole like thing about the toxic masculinity and the femininity and stuff. Like, look, people are messed up, but you should not paint an entire group of people, the same group of people that are pushing this ad, like I said, are talking about how evil and wicked it is to paint an entire group of people with a particular epithet or particular type of stigma to stereotype, right?
Yep.
That's what this is. It's a stereotype. It's like any guy that, you know, is even remotely masculine isn't looking like a complete soy boy, like emaciated with the sunken in chest and just a shell of a human being, is an evil, disgusting brute. Like, you know what? How about this? How about thank you for Western civilization? How about thank you for every single creature comfort you have? How about thank you for the greatest economy and the greatest lifestyle that's ever existed on this planet in the history of mankind? Okay? How about a thank you for once?
You're welcome.
Yeah, but if Gillette put out that ad like, thank you, men, oh my God. Just think about if it was the opposite, right? If it was, you know, guys, but like a construction worker coming home to his family, busting his ass so they can live and have a chance for a better life, or like some lawyer who took out $200,000 worth of student loans, who's at the office for 12 hours a day, again, busting his ass for his family, just, you know, trying to make ends meet and create a better life. Because that's what my upbringing was. My dad was dirt poor, right? Literally lived in a house in West Virginia with a dirt floor growing up, right? Went to law school, busted his ass, and gave me a great life and opportunities I would have otherwise never had. That's a man. That's what a man does. And you know what? Never even talked about it.
Nope.
Maybe told me about his life growing up once or twice, just to give me some perspective.
15
about how-
miles uphill to get to school. And
both
then-
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm just saying, I'm an old fashioned guy because I believe that a lot of old fashioned things work, and I'm definitely an old fashioned kind of man. Like the guys that I look up to are like Sean Connery, Little Richard.
Jesus Christ.
Little Richard's fucking great though, man.
Tutti frutti.
Long tall salad. Or that was Wilson Pickett. But anyway, you get the point now. But like old fashioned masculine guys, like, dude, the definition of masculine, I know he's a bit of a dog, but James Bond. That's
Yes.
masculine, man.
I will, not only will I fuck you better than you've ever been fucked, but I will also save the world.
Yeah. That's very masculine.
And-
I remember like Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, right? And you got or like Mel Gibson, you know, like guys need to go back to like if you're a young guy and you're listening to the show, let Uncle Tom give you some advice. Lift weights, okay? Go to the gym because that's going to improve you from an inward standpoint and from an outward standpoint, obviously, as well. All right? Be courageous and put yourself out there in society, namely with women.
Yep.
Go up, ask her out. It sucks. That's what courage is, okay? Is being afraid of getting rejected and turned down, but doing it anyway, right? This is a strength in numbers with these ladies, okay? If you bat
and
300, you're a Hall of Famer, baby. You're Mickey Mantle.
And not being butthurt if it doesn't work out.
And not being butthurt. Dude, and you know what? If she's out of your league, you should definitely still do it. Because you know what matters in this world, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Respect, man. Because a girl that's out of your league, if you have the cojones and you have the huevos, man.
Huevo?
Yeah. To go up and ask her
Ranchero?
out. Dude, you know what? Let me level with you in my own personal experience, just because this is real talk from me straight to our YouTube audience. All right. So a couple days a week I work in a restaurant. And from the perspective of female, that's not really the most attractive type of employment that you can have. Let's just say that. So I may or may not be at my place of business, and this girl walks in. And she looks like a movie star. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I'll show you this girl off the shirt, like freakishly good looking. I mean, has like looks like Taylor Swift, but if Taylor Swift was a supermodel, like just crazy hot, right? So I'm there. I have a fucking apron on, you know, not really the symbol of success, so to speak, even though it is a very lucrative job, which I like a lot. And I'm very happy I have that job and I love it. So fuck what you think. But so anyway, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask this girl out because I don't give a fuck. That's why. And was I in any position of leverage? Like, here's the irony. If I was outside of the confines of work, if I was myself and able to dress a certain way and tailor myself to that success, she probably would have said yes.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Oh,
I know by now. But so I did it. So I asked her out, slide her my number. It was about a week ago. She ain't calling. But you know what? It was within my control to go and do that.
Yep.
Right? So I continue to have self-respect for myself.
And
right?
And it hurt no one.
Oh, it hurt.
That's
No,
the thing.
It's flattering to her.
Somehow it's like an evil thing to do that. Like, it's like, all right, what person doesn't like getting positive attention? Like,
well, girls don't like it from creepy guys or guys that they find unattractive too. But you know what?
Okay, but then so that's a part of this whole thing too. That's kind of interesting. Is like a lot of the behaviors and things that we promote and that you exhibit. Maybe that's not the best advice for some people too.
I don't give a fuck. I'm giving advice from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
And like, this is going to sound like an arrogant thing to say, but it's not. I'm not saying it from that. I'm saying it in an appreciative way because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. God, thank you, Lord, for my genetics because I'm pretty much objectively good looking.
Yeah.
And it's nice. And I'm aware of that. And that's awesome. I also go to the gym 6 days a week and bust my ass to have the body of a, professional athlete. So
what about that seventh day? Was it the day of rest that the Lord giveth?
On the seventh day, he rested.
He jerked off all day.
And looked from upon high the creation that was the manifestation
and
of all
froze his
efforts.
semen for the apocalypse.
Exactly. So on the seventh day, I cryogenically freeze my sperm. Right? So that, again, remember, the whole point of all of this is to make sure that I outdo Genghis Khan with the amount of the world's population that carries my DNA.
You have people over, they open your freezer, they're like, hey, is this mochi? You're like,
oh yeah, the ice cream's behind the sperm bank. Okay, but anyway, like that's the advice that
no, I'm
I
just
give,
really into
'cause,
20.
oh, it's not all mine.
It's also all of my relatives, just in case I don't,
A dream of mine is to start my own sperm bank. So you got to kind of start small. It's a crowdfunding thing, so if you want to give a donation, please do. Which brings us to our next point, the West Coast Wise Guys. We are starting our own sperm bank.
Yes.
So what's your address so people can send you their sperm?
It's who's somebody that I want to Oh, somebody in Boca, yeah.
What's Gillette's corporate address?
Yeah.
Oh man. But you know what? Here's the thing about the internet, man. Here's the thing about the proliferation of the information, is that these spurgs on the internet, they'll get on 4chan and they'll rail against a sad and they'll be like, okay, how can we get them back?
Yep.
And they will think of something that is just
Trolling is at an all-time high.
and it's beautiful because that's an art form. Make no doubt, that's an art form. But back to the advice that I'm giving guys, like, dude, you know what? Women respect guys that are confident and assertive. Again, it's a shit test because they're thinking like, okay, if he's afraid to ask me out, then he's definitely afraid to like go up for that promotion.
Yeah.
He's definitely afraid if there's ever a situation where we're being like physically attacked or something. I mean, he's going to cower in fear, right? Which is why like there is a biological reason why the buffed Brad Pitt looking guy, the Christian Bale looking guy is scoring with all the ladies. Why 80% of women want to mate with the top 10% of men, right? That's a fact. So, but along with that, it's because these guys have natural confidence. Like, I mean, honestly, I think, and this is why I'm so thankful for it. Like, I think of like, dude, how difficult would my dating life be if I wasn't good looking?
It would be a shit show.
It would be awful.
Yeah.
Lots of porn.
Lots.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and that's why porn is at an all-time high now, is because guys just check out.
Yep.
But, and I mean, and also dating apps too is like,
Well, it's like it's almost like you're right there. That like I could see it easily translating from one to the other. You know what I mean? Like you're already on the phone all the time. You're not in the real world as it is. You're seeing beautiful people nonstop, and you're like, oh, I wish I could just see the nip. Can I see the nip? And then before you know it, you're on the website and you're, you know. That sounds a little bit too much like you're drinking your own stuff.
Is that the auditory way to say that you're
Spanking it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Shaking hands with the president.
shaking hands, Mr. Trump. Yeah. So anyway, I mean that's just the thing. So to close this out, because I know you got to go to San Diego.
Yeah,
You got to go somewhere. I'm not gonna say where.
Going to San Diego tonight, and then I'm leaving for the
Never.
desert the next 3 nights.
Never give your location on air.
Oh shit! Well, San Diego's it's a big place. They already know we're in
but
LA.
No. We're guilty of wrongthink. We're railing against the global establishment. So you might get a little knock on your hotel door tonight. If Jordan goes missing, that's what happened. Just saying. I want to say it on air so you have like a receipt
Yeah.
of it. Anyway, so check it out. I mean, most of our audience is young men. Don't buy into this global corporate shit because they want it to be easy. It's easy to cave. It's easy not to be assertive. It's easy not to be courageous. Life ain't about that. Name me one easy decision in life that's ever had positive ramifications for you. I'll wait. Okay, thanks. 0. All right? Make the tough decisions. Okay? Eat right. Go to the gym. Read. Take care of business. Don't watch porn. Ask the girl out. Be assertive. Did I say that? Because I'll say it again.
Yeah.
It bears repeating, right?
And shave with Gillette.
No, fuck that.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah.
No, you know what?
Schick. I'm using Schick from now on.
They're probably the same thing.
I know.
It's yeah, they're probably just like controlled opposition from the same.
I loved what Theo said. He's like, I'd rather braid my beard hair than use Gillette.
Yeah, I will not use Gillette, and it's to the point where you know, my favorite athlete is Tom Brady, but they play in Gillette Stadium.
Yep.
So I almost don't want the Patriots to win the Super Bowl now.
And he's done how many Gillette ads too? I think he.
Damn it, man. God, see, the global corporate capitalism puts you in this bind.
They
all right?
confuse you. They flip
Seriously.
you around.
Reject globalism. It is not in the best interest of anybody but the corporate elite. Yeah, I know you two. We're going to get flagged for that because you have algorithms that pick that shit up. I'll say it again. Rail against globalism. It is not in your best interest for the average, for the vast majority of humanity. Okay? So, anyway, that's about all I have to say for today.
I want to talk about bar napkins really quick.
Bar naps, hit me.
So you've done the bar napkin technique, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious how it works because I'm on the opposite end of that where I receive several bar napkins a week with little notes and phone numbers.
50-50.
And if I was single, I'm wondering how often I would respond because the problem is sometimes I don't even know who they come from because they're like too chill about it. Like you make it known. You know, I need to know who it came from first of all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of curious if you got what the success rate was with the bar napkin.
Well, like you said, you need to make it known who it's from.
Yeah.
Because here's a little news flash, and this is some like brand new hot information. If she's hot, she's getting totally inundated with numbers on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not the first guy, which is why, again, back to the courage thing, you're competing with 20 guys in a given week that are
Yep.
going up to this girl.
Who are
right?
who are all active, quote unquote risk takers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you definitely got to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bar nap thing, you got to make yourself known. Don't stay too long because people end up like, the less you talk, the better. It's like dealing with the cops. Just like, don't talk if you don't have to.
This is good.
You know?
Yeah. This is good.
And always have a lawyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, make yourself known. Like the key is make a first impression. First impression, so important, so crucial. It could be a complete disaster if not done right. So, first impression, which is why like that's what I said when I hit on that one girl who's like insanely beautiful and probably gets inundated with numbers on a constant basis. Why I'm wearing like shit. I don't look good.
Yeah.
I mean like I look good, but
Yeah,
my appearance,
the
right, is not
position
ideal.
that you in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not a position of leverage at all, right? So, and the irony is, like I said, like if she knew me outside and I play music, this, that, and the other, it's a lot more attractive. But whatever. That's why you don't take it too seriously. But and that's another word of advice is like don't like one-itis this shit. Like you see this guy, like, oh my gosh, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like
You
well,
shouldn't
at least
take
for us,
anything too seriously. That's what I'm talking about. That little hint of not nihilism or apathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the best expectations are no expectations.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say. Because
Bam.
people will disappoint you on a somewhat constant
100%.
basis.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's one of the best things that I've done in my life is like, I expect people to be people, which is usually fuck up. And then one last thing before we go, this is me getting a little mushy with you, And,
Oh yeah, I was waiting for
yeah.
that.
So
Can you hold my hand?
yes,
No, don't touch
yeah.
me.
So I will say like because we lunch after the last podcast with Mike and
I had a lot of fun.
and your energy and what you bring to the table, it is inspiring in a way where it's just like, even I'm talking to the person at checkout and she's making friendly conversation, like, because asking for my email address because we went to that clothing store next door.
Yeah, give them a
And-
shout out. They're a good store.
Buck Mason, great shit.
Yeah, Buck Mason's awesome. And for those of you that don't know, check it out. It's like the coordinate point between Lucky Brand and All Saints. It's
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And what's at jordanjsherman.com? And normally I'm just like, oh, it's just music stuff. Or something cool. But I was like, oh, that's where I post all my nudes.
Yes.
And I'm like, just every angle. And she was immediately having fun with it, and we riffed on it for a good minute of just like, yeah, because sometimes I just feel like I'm not really getting the whole picture right. So I have a whole website dedicated to it, and it was fun, and 100% I wouldn't have gone with it in that direction had I not been already hanging with you and feeding off of what you do and who you are. And I think that's just something about leaders in general and people who are, fucking intense, and it's
I'm very intense.
but you're intense in a fun way, and it definitely changed my chemistry in that moment, and I could see just in general how you affect the people around you, and I think it's only good. So
Damn, man, that's one of the best compliments I've ever received. Fuck, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
Because I actually care about what you think. That's awesome, man. And that's why I fucking love doing this podcast so much. Because like you get it, and a lot of people they misunderstand me. Like I honestly, like I'll have girls or whatever that like they'll see, if we're doing the dating app thing, that they'll see like, oh, your podcast, like I'm gonna check it out, and they always say like, I've never had the opportunity to hear somebody speak at length.
you like know somebody,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I think on like certain things. And obviously for people who watch this program, not much of a filter going on here.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not like, it's not like when you're dating, you're like, okay, so this is me. This is the person I am presented
and then
to
you gradually start to show a little bit more of who you really
Yeah.
are.
Like, I don't fuck with that. I mean,
Dude, how handy is that though?
yeah, no,
kind of amazing.
Well, it's had some negative effects.
Of course,
But it's good because it weeds them out.
Yep.
it weeds them out. Like I had, women like, well, like you're kind of opinionated and you guys just kind of like talk about whatever. It's like, well, you're fucking wrong because we do prep. And I remember that episode, we did more prep than usual. So I don't think you listened, but anyway, this is the way I am from like the moment we sit down.
Yep.
And it's just funny to see the look on women's faces when they're just like, oh my God, like you're like borderline crazy, but you're not. Like, honey, they call that genius. And I fucking like it.
Yeah. And some of it kind of ties into just brain chemistry too, because I feel it a lot more this month being sober too.
Yeah.
Just I feel like my eyes are just a tiny bit more open. There's the bags under my eyes are a little bit less. Just little tiny things that the way you interface with the world is different now. You know what I mean? And it's crazy how the tiniest things and the tiniest approaches and the tiniest ideas and the tiniest little bit of extra energy you have, what that fucking does for you. It's insane.
Dude, absolutely. And you know what? Because people always say like, oh, in my 20s, I used to be able to drink all night, wake up at 6 a.m., go to class, and I'd feel fine. It's like, because I don't think in your 20s that you were developed enough really to understand that how much this minutia really changes the way you feel.
Yep.
And like I had a very responsible night drinking. Like sometimes I like to get in the whole romantic Hemingway-esque thing of like drinking some booze and writing, lyrics to a song.
Yep.
There's a certain flow to that, which I don't recommend because that's a downward spiral that, has killed like Jack Kerouac.
I just need blow to write good music.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's totally healthy. But yeah, so I was doing. So I had like just a couple beers. I woke up the next day and like you just said, like the eyes, man. Like I feel it in my eyes. So every time I look at some, I'm reminded of like, this isn't optimal.
Yep.
Right. And I like to be optimal. I got to be sharp, man. If I'm hungover, I'm not firing on all cylinders. And I honestly feel like I'll wake up and be like, I don't feel as confident, as assertive, as effortlessly, like ready to go out and dominate the world and love doing it.
Yep.
Right. I don't feel that unless I'm well rested and in, quote unquote sober. But yeah, that's really an important thing to do. We encourage everybody, again, self-actualize, be the best version of yourselves that you can be. And again, the last thing I'll say is that global corporate establishment does not, they don't want you to do that. No, I got to tie it in because that's the theme of the episode, though.
Well, of course,
But it's
because you're not
true.
going to buy shit. I mean,
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, dude, I'm a good consumer. I just spent $900 on a leather jacket, on a piece of dead cow that they probably sold the meat for thousands of dollars. Like they made a huge profit margin. I bought into that. But I will have this leather jacket till the day I die. So they probably don't like me. But in any event, go out and the best way for young men to respond to this Gillette commercial, go out and be the best man you can be.
and
Right?
yeah, true, man. The stuff that we were talking about that is all positive, that is like rooted in fucking this understanding of who you are.
Honor, respect, dignity.
Yep. So on that note, we love you.
Let's
Peace out.
close it
Thank you
out.
so much for listening.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Please, rate us on iTunes. That helps a fuck ton.
5 stars or more.
And share with some friends and just, yeah, we really enjoy doing it. So hopefully you enjoy listening. And what do you think of the blue?
I like it. I feel like because if it was bright today and I was feeling this fire, I might have just like jumped out of my seat.
Yeah.
It might have been too much
A little more laid
stimuli
back,
for
yeah.
my senses. Yeah, so it's good. It's a little bit subdued. So yeah, this is me chilling. Okay, that's what I look like, relaxed.
Very relaxed.
Yeah, man, I'm tenacity. But anyway, again, yeah, I just want to say thank you to our audience for always tuning in and watching. You guys are great. Please like, share, subscribe, and really happy we're doing the YouTube thing too. We've had a lot of growth with that. We're a fast-growing podcast because people love the content, because we stay on top of it and we do a good job, but mainly because people are sharing it.
Yep.
And the word's getting out. So make sure you follow us on Instagram too, at the West Coast Wise Guys. Like the YouTube videos, share, and we'll be back at you next week. We got to start doing this twice a week.
I know. Well, I think my solution, like I said, was we'll do one of these and then have a guest right after, or vice versa. It might be nice to get us first so we're really lubed up and then get the guest in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool. Excellent. Well, everyone have a good week. Continue on your path to self-actualization. Boycott Gillette.
Peace and
Bye.
love, man.
Bunch of globalist crooks. Disgusting.